Thank you for considering us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If you donate to this man, you have problems. Not only has he ruined America, but border security. Critics argue that Biden's administration has not implemented effective measures to secure the U.S.'s southern border, leading to concerns about illegal crossings, drug trafficking, and human smuggling. Migrant influx. There has been a significant increase in migrant arrivals at the border, which some critics attribute to Biden's policies and rhetoric that they argue or perceive as more lenient on immigration compared to his predecessor. Policy reversals. Critics point to Biden's reversal of some Trump-era immigration policies, such as ending the Remain in Mexico policy and halting border wall construction, which they argue have contributed to border challenges, legal and administrative backlogs, delay in processing asylum claims, and immigration court cases have led to backlogs, creating uncertainty for migrants and complicating efforts to manage the border effectively. There are many public safety concerns. There are concerns about potential impact on public safety, including criminal activity associated with illegal border crossing, and challenges for local communities and law enforcement agencies, such as a young woman who died to an illegal immigrant who crossed the border.
We're live from Georgia.
This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case temporarily.
As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th.
January 6th. Significant events unfolded in the United States, primarily centered around the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Protests and riots, Capitol breach, violence and fatalities. Supporters of then President Donald Trump gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest the certification of the electoral results, claiming widespread voter fraud without substantial evidence. The protests escalated into riots as some demonstrators breached security barriers and stormed the U.S. Capitol building. Rioters breached the Capitol building, breaking windows, vandalizing offices, and engaging in confrontations with law enforcement. The Capitol complex was placed on lockdown and lawmakers were evacuated or sheltered in place. The unrest resulted in violent clashes between rioters and law enforcement officers. One Capitol police officer, Brian Sicknick, died in the result of injuries sustained during the riot, and several others were injured. Many blamed Trump for this incursion. Additionally, a female rider, Ashley Babbitt, was shot and killed by law enforcement during the breach. Solid defense was made by Donald Trump. Legal interpretation. Some legal scholars and Trump's defender assert that his speech, when viewed in its entirety, did not meet the legal threshold of incitement to violence. They argue that his remarks were protected by the First Amendment right to freedom of speech, and he did not explicitly call or foresee the violent actions that occurred later in that day. Trump's defenders point out that the violent breach of Capitol occurred after his speech concluded, suggesting that any actions taken by the rioters were not directly caused by or a result of his words. They argue that individuals are responsible for their own actions and decisions, regardless of political rhetoric or influence. Following the outbreak of violence, Trump released a video statement calling for calm and asking rioters to go home peacefully. Supporters argued that this demonstrates a disapproval of the violence and his intent for lawful protest. Selective quotation. Critics and supporters of Trump often highlight different parts of his speech. Supporters may focus on sections where he explicitly calls for peaceful protest and legal action, while critics often emphasize other parts of his rhetoric that they argue contributed to an atmosphere of heightened tension and potential for unrest.
Child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Beating Medicare, you say? Despite campaign promises, Biden has faced criticism for not aggressively pushing for broader expansions of Medicare, such as lowering the eligibility rate, age, or implementing a public option. Some critics argue that these measures would have significantly impact and improved access to health care for more Americans. Biden has proposed reforms to lower prescription drug prices under Medicare, such as allowing negotiations of drug prices. However, progress on this front has been slow, and some critics argue that more aggressive measures are needed to effectively reduce costs for Medicare beneficiaries. Medicare beneficiaries still face high out-of-pocket costs for certain services and medications. Critics argue that Biden has not sufficiently addressed these affordability issues, which continue to burden seniors and those with disabilities enrolled in Medicare. There are ongoing concerns about Medicare's reimbursement rates for healthcare providers, which some argue are too low and could affect access to care for Medicare beneficiaries. Biden's administration has faced scrutiny over whether it has adequately addressed these reimbursement challenges. Biden's effort to make changes to Medicare, such as reforms or expansions, face political opposition and challenge in Congress. This opposition has hindered his ability to enact more comprehensive changes that some advocates believe that are necessary to truly beat Medicare's current limitations. As you may have seen during the clip, Biden was struggling to make out his words. Joe Biden is one of the oldest presidents to assume office, being in his late 70s when he was inaugurated. Concerns about his age have centered around his stamina, ability to handle demands of presidency, and potential impacts on decision-making and cognitive abilities. There have been speculation and scrutiny regarding Biden's cognitive abilities. Some critics and commentators have pointed to instances of verbal slips, pauses during speeches, or moments where he appeared to lose the train of thought as potential signs of cognitive decline. Biden has a history of health issues, including surgeries for brain aneurysms in the late 1980s and early 1990s. While he has since been in good health, his medical history has a point of interest for those concerned about his ability to handle the physical and mental stresses of presidency. Critics have raised concerns about the level of transparency regarding Biden's health. Questions have been raised about the release of medical records and information regarding any ongoing health conditions that could affect his ability to serve effectively as president. The presidency is a demanding role that requires extensive travel, long hours, and ability to manage stress effectively. There are multiple clips of Biden sleeping during many important moments, and rudely checking the time during funerals of the military personnel. Concerns about Biden's physical stamina have been raised in relation to his age and whether he can maintain the rigorous schedule required of the presidency. On March 2021, President Biden stumbled and fell while boarding Air Force One. Biden has a history of previous injuries, including fractures on his foot in December 2020. Many public appearances, due to his age and due to his declining health. Medical assessments. Biden undergoes regular medical checkups, and the White House typically releases summaries of these assessments to provide transparency during his health status. Specific details of his health and any ongoing medical conditions are kept private, and if they were released, it would be likely that people would not respect him as a president, including the Democrats. It is clear that our president has been a laughingstock for other countries, and it's time for another person to take the stool. And it is time for another person to take the wheel. Let's take a look at this footage here. Clearly, these steps were very, very small. After the debate yesterday, footage of Joe Biden needing a hand on a tiny step as everyone talking. It's like watching your grandpa navigate the bottom stair with caution while you're rooting for him from the sidelines. Critics are all like, is he fit for office? Meanwhile, Biden's reassuring everyone that occasional step errors are just part of the presidential dance routine. As always, The White House may need to step in to clarify, or maybe just install a presidential ramp, repeat events. President Biden has become the laughingstock of Russia's leader Putin, who has eagerly exploited Biden's recent diplomatic stumbles and perceived weakness on the international front as an opportunity to portray the United States as inept and divided. Putin's derision highlights a strategic effort to undermine confidence in America's leadership while bolstering Russia's image as a formidable global player. This dynamic not only fuels geopolitical tensions, but also underscores the ongoing rivalry between the two nations, shaping international perceptions and alliances in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. President Biden has become the laughingstock. Who's probably watching Biden's antics like a sitcom rerun, complete with laugh tracks and popcorn? Putin's likely thinking, who needs a comedy show with young Biden on the world stage? It's like a bizarre buddy comedy, where one keeps slipping on banana peels and the other just sit back, munching on popcorn enjoying a show. The global sitcom isn't just entertaining, it's shaping international relations, one punchline at a time.